Hello, dear students of Level 2. This is Dr. Maha Salam, and this is your second video of Academic Writing 1 course. The code of the course is EN205, and I recommend that you have your notes, the handouts that you have been given, beside you while you are watching this video, because we are going to be using the handouts several times. In this video, we are going to talk about narrative essays. A narrative, as you know, is a story. So, if we are writing a narrative essay, it means we are writing an essay that tells a story about a certain event or action. This narrative essay has an introduction that engages the reader's interest, and it has a middle part with details of the main events or the action of the story, and it has an end or conclusion that describes the outcome of the action. Now we will talk in details about the three parts of the structure of the narrative essay. The first part, the introduction, it's one paragraph, and the first sentence of this first paragraph is supposed to get the reader's attention. Then there are a number of middle sentences. They can be 2 or 3 or 4, and these middle sentences introduce an event or action by giving background information about the people, the place, and the time of the story. Then the last sentence of the introduction, it is the sentence that you know as thesis statement, and in case of narrative essays, the thesis statement prepares the reader for the action that follows. Then we move to the second part of the structure of narrative essays, the part that we call the body of the essay, and it can be made up either of 1 or 2 paragraphs, and the function of these paragraphs is to give details of what happened in the story. Remember that in a narrative essay, you are writing a story. So you will give details in this body of the essay about what happened in the story. Usually, these details are given in time order that we sometimes call the chronological order or the time order. For example, you begin with what happened first, then what happened after, next, then, afterwards, and so on, till you reach the end. We go to the third part of the structure, which is the part that we call the conclusion paragraph of the essay. This paragraph tells the outcome or the end result of the events. It may even comment on the importance of the events in the writer's life. Sometimes a writer is telling a story about something that happened to him, and in this case, the writer will use the conclusion to explain the significance or the importance of this story. Now, I want you to open your notes and go to page 59. We have a narrative essay on this page. It has an interesting title. It's called An Embarrassing Incident. An embarrassing incident is going to make us as readers think that this story is about a certain incident or event that happened and that caused some embarrassment to the writer. Let us count the paragraphs. Look at page 59. Count your paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is a 4-paragraph essay. which means that it has two body paragraphs. Since it is made up of 4 paragraphs, then there is an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The introduction begins with the topic sentence, where I grew up, the rules for family life are very strict. This topic sentence, as you see, is talking about the family of the writer and how this family has very strict rules because they belong to a certain place, a certain community, a certain country that has strict rules. So this is attractive because when we read this, maybe we will want to know what are these strict rules and why do we have this title about embarrassment. Then in the middle sentences of the introduction, we will know more background information, background about the people in the story or about the place at which the events of the story are happening or about the time during which the events happen. The middle sentences go as follows. My parents taught me that I should respect grandparents more than anyone else because grandparents had lived the longest. They had more knowledge about life, and no matter what they said, even if it did not make sense, they were right. Hugging or kissing grandparents was disrespectful. Instead, I was told to greet them by kissing their hand. I thought that everyone lived and thought just as I did. All these are the middle sentences, and you see, we are told about some of the strict rules in the family. This family, the place where the writer comes from, and the families that live there, including the family of the writer, they respect grandparents so much. And how do they greet them? They do not hug them, they do not kiss them. They kiss their hands as a sign of respect. Now we reach the final sentence of the introduction, what we call the thesis statement. The thesis statement is very intriguing. It goes as follows. I soon found out this is not true. The writer has just told us that he or she thought that all over the world people and families had the same rules, that everybody kissed the hands of their grandparents as a show of respect, and that this was accepted all over the world. But then the thesis statement tells us that there was a discovery made by the writer, and that discovery is that not everywhere people kiss their grandparents' hands. Now, in the 2 coming paragraphs, the body paragraphs, we will know the main event, the main action of the story. We will know that the writer moved from his or her own town or country to America, and that they had American friends, and that they went to attend a birthday party or some family gathering at the house of the American friend. And when introduced to the grandparent, the American grandparent of the American friend, the writer went to kiss the hand of the grandparent to show the respect, because this is the kind of behavior that happens where he or she comes from. But then everybody was looking at the writer in a strange way, like nobody could understand such an action. And the writer got embarrassed and confused because he or she, they understood that this sort of behavior was not expected in such a place as America. So this is the embarrassing event in details. Now we go to the conclusion, the last paragraph. The next day at school, my friend asked me why I kissed her grandfather's hand and why I told the little boy to get away from his grandfather. I explained my customs to her, and she explained hers to me. I learned that good manners are not the same in different countries. Fortunately, my friend and I stayed very good friends. So, as you see, in the conclusion, we get to know the outcome of the embarrassing event. The embarrassing event had already happened, and we are told about it in the body paragraphs. But what is the outcome or the end result of this event? Did the two friends stop knowing each other? Was there a sort of quarrel between them? No. Actually, they talked together and they explained the different customs and traditions in each country, and they continued their friendship, which we can consider as a happy ending. Now, I want you to turn the page of your notes and to see exercise number 5 and to try and answer the questions on exercise 5. You have 6 questions. No, they are more than 6. You have number A, exercise 5A, there are 3 questions, and exercise 5B, there are 6 questions. So the total is 9 questions. You can reread the essay once or twice or even 3 times in order to be able to understand the structure of the essay and to answer the questions correctly. Now, on page 63 of your notes, go to page 63, please. The upper half of the page gives us a very important point concerning narrative essays, what we call the time order or the time sequence. Usually, in a narrative essay, we say the events in time order. For example, I had a friend. The friend invited me to go and attend her birthday party. When I went there, she introduced me to her grandparents, and I wanted to show my respect to this grandparent in the same manner as I do back home in my own country. So I kissed the hand of her grandfather, and everybody looked at me in a strange way, and I felt so embarrassed. If we are saying the story in this manner, it means we are following a time sequence, what happened first and then what came next and so on. So there is always much use of what we call time adverbs. You will find a number of time adverbs written on page 63. For example, you have words such as afterward, eventually, finally, after that, later, later on, now, then, suddenly. All these words are used as connectors, and they usually appear at the beginning of a sentence, and when you use them at the beginning of the sentence, they are immediately followed by a comma. Because remember, punctuation is very important when you are writing a good essay. Now, your study source material for this type of essay, the narrative essay, will be found on your handouts, pages 53 to 63. With this, we reach the end of our video. I wish you good luck. Thank you.